Hello, world. I'm Mike Raish, and welcome to the first episode of Put What Where, Why, and How. So, I am here to talk about myself a little bit, and the reason for that is because if you were ever to hire me and bring me into your home, I would hope that you would feel comfortable and feel like you know me a little bit. So the purpose of this video is a little bit more about myself so you can get to know me, and then future episodes will be more about being creative and being organized and kind of like hopefully some helpful tips and really deep and cool conversations and stuff like that. So for the first episode, I'm going to tell you about my journey becoming a creative organizer. So where I need to start is actually the industry that I'm leaving plays a little bit of a role and kind of draws back to why I got into what I'm doing right now. So I am closing down my Halloween entertainment business. I haven't been operating Dark Labyrinth Entertainment for 17 years, but I have been in the Halloween industry for 17 years. So I've been trying to create novel experiences that were kind of based in fear, but now I'm changing direction. I've got my beautiful pillow that my friend Caitlin made for me. So this is the Halloween business that I'm leaving behind, Dark Labyrinth Entertainment, and so I want to talk about why creativity and organizing are kind of related, and it's why I got interested in Halloween in the first place. So let me say that most organizers, professional organizers, have a natural knack for organizing. That's kind of how and why they get into it. And I have a little bit of that, but I really have a natural knack for creativity. And people that know me would definitely probably support that statement. I'm a very creative person, and as I'll talk about later, I got into the creative studies program at Buff State, so I actually studied creativity, and I'll get into that. But that natural knack for creativity and Halloween being a holiday that kind of defers judgment, it allows you to do kind of whatever you want and be weird and have people celebrate that. So there's this celebration of weirdness or strangeness, or in more productive, positive terms, novelty is really what we're talking about. And what's interesting about that is that novelty is exciting and or uncomfortable. So that's why I think it's kind of attached to Halloween, because when you are introduced to something new, there's kind of like this fear of stepping into that newness. And that's why Halloween is just such a great holiday for novelty and bringing out new things. And I've always been attracted to that. It's never really been about gore or about fear for me, although I've studied a lot about fear, but more so about overcoming it than engaging in it. So that's kind of like my natural go into Halloween. Hi, Megan. So that's kind of where I entered into passion and my path, if you will. And since then, I've gone through a lot of things, which I'll save. But I want to talk about this particular moment that I had while I was driving to work one day. I was just going to work. I've been working for this Apple for many years, and I'm just driving to work, and I'm kind of stuck in traffic, and I'm watching all these people drive to their respective wherevers they're going, and I had a moment that I was just totally overwhelmed and felt stuck in this machine, the American machine, of just getting into the car, then drive to work so I can pay for the car and the insurance and whatever. So I understand there's more bills and stuff, but it's this machine of constantly needing to go to work so that you can pay for the things so that you can go work. And there's this weird cycle, and it just kind of overwhelmed me, and then it led into this internal conversation about me becoming a professional haunted house owner, and then me realizing how much stuff that I would need to technically own, which also means I would have to obtain it through however much means, which a lot of it's got to be purchased. So there's a lot of investment when it comes to the Halloween entertainment. The guys that are local to our area that are big spend millions of dollars on their sets and stuff, and it's really beautiful. You should go see them, but I don't have that kind of money. And I didn't want to be responsible for like these semi trucks of, you know, ghosts and ghouls and walls and chairs and old TV sets and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm realizing that I really don't want to land in a space where that has to happen. And my current project with Halloween really is quite minimal. We even designed it after some like minimalist kind of themes, because it's very stark and white, and there's very little prop work, and a lot of it's psychological and whatnot, which is really fun. But ultimately, I am moving away from Halloween. And I want to talk a little bit about my experiences that allow me to be qualified as a professional organizer as well, so you can kind of know those things. And one of those things is just all my experience with personal tutoring and training. I kind of started tutoring people in high school. I got a couple of best friends that will claim that they would have never passed the math exam without me, which is cool that I've helped them out. And that carried into my career, or my time at SUNY Fredonia, where I went to school for math education, and I also worked at their learning center, and I tutored a lot of students, hundreds of students in math and physics and statistics. And my love for teaching has always been there, but it kept growing as I did more tutoring. And then I got my job at Apple, which changed my life. Apple, I don't even have to say much about it because everyone knows who Apple is, because they're so amazing, and I'm using an iPhone right now to connect with you, which is just mind-blowing that this is a thing. Technology is amazing. Which gives me a little bit of an advantage over other organizers in terms of being able to organize for the 21st century and implement technological solutions for a lot of people's clutter. And digital clutter is a whole nother story, which I also have a lot of experience helping people declutter their virtual desktop and their digital files and their digital photos and et cetera, et cetera. So I got the job at Apple, and I got trained in a lot of things. I got trained in sales. I got trained in how to troubleshoot all of their devices and stuff, and for technical support. I got trained to train the trainers. So I'm training other trainers how to train. I was trained on how to train people how to use their devices, and I've been trained in a lot of other things. Apple's really big on training and their education. I've learned more being at Apple than I have during my entire public school experience, which says a lot about our public school experience, because I don't remember much of like history or Spanish or whatever, but like the skills that I learned working for Apple are far more useful than any of the ones I learned in high school and before. College was pretty helpful, but still, Apple was very, very helpful. And I fell in love with my job. I was able to help people realize their potential and how to utilize their technology to enhance their life. And I can't even tell you how fulfilling and rewarding it is for me to hear people like just, I have so many stories, and I'm not going to say any of them because there's so many, and I might be tangenting, but I've changed people's lives. Not that I've explicitly went and like fiddled in their lives and changed it, but like I've asked the right questions and guided them in the right direction, and they okay, I'll tell one story. This one lady, she came in for a lesson, we sat down, and, you know, going through some of the questions on like what she wants to do and whatever, and she had zero direction. Zero. She was just like, I don't know, I bought this thing and I want to learn what to do. And so then I started digging into her personal life a little bit more and her career, and like, what are you using this machine for? Like, blah, blah, blah. And all we did, I mean, it's not all we did, but the one thing that we did that blew her mind is we set a goal. Like, we set a goal together, and it seemed obtainable, and there were steps for her to get there, and I was able to guide her through the process. And her mind was so blown that she brought her wife in to meet me. She's just like, hey, this is the guy that like trained me and like changed my life. And that's the kind of stuff that you don't get doing in the haunted house industry. Excuse me. So that's just an example of how I utilize my facilitation and guiding skills to assist somebody in reaching their potential. While I was at Apple is when I went and got my degrees, which I have. They gave me pieces of paper. So I has smart degrees. I love flashing these pieces of paper because they're really, really expensive. But I have a degree in creative studies. I have a certificate in creativity and change leadership, and a Master of Science degree in creative thinking. So what I wanted to point out is all of the training that I had in Apple and all of the training I had at creativity and all of my life lessons, all of them, they're all relatively the same process, the creative process. So once you've like connected to the dots and you see the key to like the flow of how things grow and die and get rejected, get accepted, and it's a very dynamic process. So it's not like, oh, it's the steps 1 through 4 and then you're a genius and you can like handle everything. There is a 4-step process, but that's just very much on paper. Putting it into practice and finding out how like warbly wiggly blah, blah, blah it is and just how dynamic and how different personalities can play with each other and like all this stuff makes it more complicated. However, there is a common thread among all of the processes that people go through to become better, to be productive, to become more functional, to heal themselves, to enhance their business, to learn. And that's the process that I'm able to guide people through. And organizing allows me to use that process in a very tangible way. So many training of like the creativity and all that stuff is a very enigmatic or intangible process, and it becomes difficult for people to like really grasp and really practice because they need something to apply it to. And I think there are so many people that have stuff that they can practice with. So that is my goal, is to help people go through the process of creativity and enhance their space and make it functional. So why I've decided to follow this track, not only because it's rewarding to me and I have a lot of experience in working with people on a very personal level and getting to know them and finding out what they need and all that, I have had my own personal experience, and I want to share that with you because when you invite me into your house and you allow me to touch your things and you allow me to see your mess, you're letting me into your soul or your mind or your emotions, however way you want to like look at it. You're bringing me in, and I want you to know that I am not perfect by any means, and I've gone through my own stuff, and it starts with me getting married in 2011 to the love of my life at the time. It was less than a year later that infidelity on their part happened and we separated. So that was a very traumatic experience for me. And unfortunately, I'm still doing a little bit of healing from that. Fast forward a little bit longer, Apple was incredibly supportive during that time of my life, which was really dark and really hard, and honestly nothing else mattered except for like me staying alive because it was just so intense that the anxiety and the depression that came along with that traumatic event manifested itself in a physical way and actually became a real problem. I had panic attacks. I wasn't able to function. I couldn't get out of bed, things of this sort. And I lost my job because I couldn't show up, which is so sad to me. Some things at my job also changed where I wasn't able to do as much teaching as I would have liked, which kind of added to the stress. But ultimately, it was a great loss for me. So I lost my husband, and then I lost my job. And somewhere in the middle there, I moved back in with my parents because I couldn't afford to live on my own because my husband wasn't paying half the rent anymore. So I'm back home. So I lost a lot of things. I lost some freedom because I'm living with my parents, lost my husband, and I lost my job. So here I am floating, trying to deal with my mental and emotional health. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I've tried everything. I shouldn't say I tried everything because there's so much things out there, but I tried so many things. I've tried to meditate, which I still do. I'm an advocate for meditation. It is helpful, but it didn't fix me necessarily. I've tried antidepressants that were prescribed to me. That didn't last very long at all because I got sick off of them. I've tried a number of things. I can't even remember all of them, but the one that that really helped was I ended up. Hi, Catherine. Kathy. Why does your Facebook say Catherine? Kathy. Anyway, hi, Kathy. The thing that really, really helped me was I ended up reading Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I'm not going to say that it changed my perspective, but it definitely inspired me to apply the processes that I told you about, that creative process, applying it to my environment and applying it to my stuff. And she definitely had some tools and some ways to look at things which were helpful, but ultimately I never thought about it being part of the healing process. And your room or your house or whatever you happen to have under your control, and that depends on the relationships you have going on in the actual structure, whether you're a child inside of parents' house, or you're living with a spouse or whatever, but there should be a space that you have complete control over. Even if you're married and sharing a bedroom, you should both have your own workspaces or space to chill out or whatever. It's so important to have your own space, and it's so important that you take control of that space. A lot of people might be suffering because the space has taken control over them. They can't find their keys, their clothes are all over the place, laundry's always out of control, you don't know where to put mail when you get it, and just when you keep receiving things, then things just pile up and things become more hopeless, more helpless. And I applied KonMari's kind of whatever, and I applied the creative process to myself. I had to start with myself. And remember, I was in a very dark time. I couldn't get out of bed. And at this point in my life, I could hardly muster the strength to brush my teeth. I'm not a functioning human being at that point. So I took her advice, and also Jordan Peterson mentions, you want to make change, clean your room. And I cannot tell you how powerful that is. Because if you feel like you have no control over your job, or over your relationship, or over your own mental or emotional health, if you feel like you don't have control, what you do and can have control over is your space. Because these physical objects are not manifesting themselves. You are bringing them in, or you get to shift them around. They don't have their own legs. You get to control where things go and what you keep and what you don't. So you get to have control. Not everybody has control, but you get to have control. So I took control. I took control of my room. I went through it. I sorted things out. I got rid of things that no longer served me, which, can I tell you, getting rid of stuff that don't serve you, whether that's stuff or people or bad ideas, all of them are so good to let go. Some of them are hard to let go, and you might want to take a little bit more time with those things, but the ability to let go of things that are no longer serving you lifts this huge weight. And so I did that. I was able to get rid of anything that I didn't care for, and I'm still like kind of going through sweeps and stuff and getting rid of stuff that I don't need anymore, and it's going to be a lifelong journey, and that's the point. But I have a mindset now that I only invite things and I only hang on to things that give me energy or give me joy or give me functionality or allow me to become my authentic, best version of myself. Those are the things that I'm going to keep in my space. So that is why I have gone through the process, and I want to spread that to other people, and I already have the skills from my previous jobs to work with people. People give me energy, so I'm able to work through the creative process, through organizing, with you, and we get to create a space that makes you feel like you want to get out of bed every day instead of, I mean, you also might create a space that you should also want to get into bed and get cozy for the night. You should always want to go to the next place you're going, because the place you're going, you have at least some control or some organization, and there's this sense of clarity that happens because you have removed all of the fog and all the stuff that stands in your way of seeing the potentials, the possibilities, and the beauty that you have available to you. My story was a little dark, and hitting my rock bottom, so to speak, allowed me to jump into organizing and help heal myself. You don't necessarily have to be anxious and depressed to need to implement more organization in your life. So hopefully that shows some of my vulnerability and makes you feel comfortable sharing some stories with me if and when we ever chat. But I also want you to know that some people don't necessarily have to go through all of that emotional whatnot. Some of it's functional, and that's fine too. So anyone could use a little bit more organization, because it helps you be more functional, and it helps you be more joyful, and it helps you have clarity, and all of these wonderful benefits. And almost anyone can always get more organized. So keep that in mind. Hopefully you feel like you know me a little bit better. If you need help, do not hesitate to contact me. You can find me on Facebook at Put What Where. You can also go to my website, putwhatwhere.com, and you can book appointments right from there, or we can just have a chat to talk a little bit about what your needs are. And join me next week at the same time, 7 p.m. on Thursday. I'm going to have an episode of Put What Where, Why and How. And the next week topic is... what is my next week topic? My next week topic is going to be, what type of disorganizer are you? Which is going to be a really cool, kind of fun, theoretical thingamajig. And I want to leave you with a moment of beauty. I'm going to try to do that with every episode, is show something beautiful. And all I have to show you right now is the artwork on my wall, which is all about letting go. I actually got this at a Halloween Midwest Hunters Convention. An artist put this together. It's mixed media. She painted on canvas, and then she also has like shards of shiny glass pieces in there and little butterfly wings. And there's this like nameless face that's throwing these little shards into the ocean, which I actually talked to the artist, and she talked about she was going through a dark time, and it allowed her to kind of like artistically let go of whatever was holding her back. And that is the case with stuff, is that stuff that no longer serves you is holding you back from reaching your potential. Oop, hope that wasn't loud. That was my tripod thing clicking together. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be posting this on YouTube soon. I'm gonna go start a channel now that I have an episode happening. yeah, let me know if you need help with any organizing questions. Feel free to ask those. I'm going to be posting some answers to questions throughout the week. I'm going to pick a day to answer a question, and then I'm also going to pick a day of the week to ask a question and see what you guys think. So that's all to come. very, very exciting. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Oh, I just got a heart. I love you. Bye.